Week 7 assignment. I'm going to go through this assignment a little bit more step by step than I did in my last video to kind of go through thinking behind everything. Please feel free. I'm gonna put people on mute also just to cut down on the background noise. But if you need to say something, please feel free to unmute and say something. Okay. I just do this just so it helps me with my recording and for general posterity, but please feel free to unmute if you need to say something. Okay, so once again, welcome everybody. I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it because I'm a little bit late. So I'm going to go through the first question that we have here is 9B. So it says, suppose the manufacturer is make to order. Now, to make to order, it's very good. It shows you the distributor orders before it receives the demand from the end customer. That's important. The manufacturer produces the amount ordered by the distributor, and the customer demand is observed. So this is important because it shows that the distributor makes an order before the demand is received. So this tells me that the manufacturer is only going to build what the distributor orders. So in this problem, the main thing we focus on is determining how much the distributor is going to make. So 9B1 tells us that the manufacturer sells to the distributor at $40 a unit. So how much will this distributor order? So, and before this, if we look at 9, it gives us, I'll bring this up on this. Well, now, when I go over the problem, I'm going to use a sample information, okay? So you can just take the information from the problem. I think in the spreadsheet that I just created on the first tab, let me bring that up real quick. This is the spreadsheet that I cleaned up considerably and I put in the general discussion area. I actually put the discussion 9 information from the problem in here. I believe it's actually, I screwed up the percentages. Just put down 3, change these to 3, and then 8, then 18. Oh, sorry, 15. Sorry. Oops. Well, you get the idea. I'm not going to slow everybody down by putting this in it, but just change the probability. And if you were to look at this, you can actually plot this on a bar graph, and it would look similar to a normal distribution. In the real world, they really don't use like probabilities, but they use, from what I've seen, they'll use a demand distribution based upon a certain historical amount of demand, and from that they can get the standard deviation and all that. So in this problem, we use weighted averages, which is a methodology that's used, but in a lot of cases, they'll determine a customer service level. If there's any interest in understanding how that works using standard distribution, let me know in the chat, in the general discussions. I can put something together for that. But for now, we're going to use a weighted distribution to understand the expected demand based upon this probability. So just remember, my data is going to be different than what's in the book. So please change this information on these two columns here to match the problem in the book. Okay. So it says the manufacturer produces at a cost of $20 per unit. So that's a cost to the manufacturer. Now this is the important part. The distributor sells to the end customer at $50 a unit, which I have here. And unsold units are sold for $10 a unit, which is salvage. Okay, fine. And we also have the manufacturer, where does it say that? The manufacturer sells to the distributor at $40. Or it says, oh, here you go. It says, suppose the manufacturer sells to the distributor at $40 a unit. That is the cost to the distributor. So that's also the profit that the manufacturer is going to receive. So the cost to the distributor is also the profit. Is also the profit per unit that the manufacturer receives. So that's important. There's a little bit of confusion in some of the assignments that I saw for that. So just remember. So once we put all this in, we also have our, what I did is I added a weighted column, revenue, cost, salvage cost, and profit. So the weighted value is very simple. You go column, well, this is column C, but the first column times the second column as a percentage gives you a weighted value. And what this says is out of 1,500 people, 5% buying a product would be 75. So you do this for all of the values, okay? Like for instance, it's 2,200 times 5% is 1,100. And then you add them all up. This gives you a weighted distribution value. And in this case, it's 1,840. Now, for the answer, I accept either 1,840 or if you want to do 1,900 because this is in 100 units, that is fine. Whatever you do. As long as I can see your work and I can understand where you're coming from, I'm pretty lenient on the answers as long as I know that you at least got the methodology down. Revenues, very simple. You go weighted. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Weighted is the first column times the selling price for the distributor. Okay, and this gives you that. So if you look here, C18, which is selling price. Actually, I think if I just click on this, it'll actually highlight the bars. Yeah. So it's this column times the selling price. So if I go all the way down, this is the revenue. Cost is very simple. Once again, it's the cost to the distributor, which is the selling price for the manufacturer, which is $40 in this example. I think it's the same as the book. This, I believe, is the same as the book. Manufacturer, yeah, I believe it's the same. I think I made it that way for a reason. So it was easier for me to relate the information to the problem. So cost is very simple. You go this, I'll just click in here to show you the cells. You've got, once again, first column times the cost to the distributor. And then that all calculates out. Now, salvage cost is a cost for any unsold product. And all I did was, this is just a big if then else statement. If you're not familiar with if statements in Excel, basically it says that if E15, which is right here, if your weighted totals is less than that the column 1's value, then calculate this equation. If not, then it is 0. And what this does is, as long as the weighted distribution is greater than what is in this block, it's going to say 0 because salvage cost is only on the items that are not sold. Salvage cost in the make to order that we have here. Let me just make sure that yeah. So in the make to order, the salvage cost is borne by the distributor because the manufacturer is only going to build what the distributor orders. Because don't forget, the manufacturer, if you look at 9B, it says the manufacturer produces the amount ordered by the distributor. So the manufacturer isn't going to build any more than what the distributor asks. So salvage costs are borne by the distributor because they have all the risk. So if they order 2,000, the manufacturer builds 2,000. If they only sell 1,800, they got 200 left that they have to get rid of. Now, when we deal with trying to figure out break-even points for incentives, we basically calculate it based upon best case analysis. So we will assume that the distributor is going to sell exactly what is predicted. In this case, we predict 1,840. So anything below 1,840, we don't calculate salvage costs. Anything above 1,840 or 1,900, it's up to you. But if you do 1,900, you got to change this cell to 1,900. Just please remember that. So in this example, I'm just going to use 1,840. So anything above 1,840, they're going to have to pay a salvage cost of $10. Now, salvage cost is what they get back from the product. I believe, let me make sure I didn't screw that up. Actually, I may have. So I'm going to change this. Salvage cost is what they get back from, let me change this real quick. Sorry, guys and gals. I'm just going to come down this way. There we go. Did I do that correctly? Costs. Yeah, okay. I think I did it correctly. Yeah. So I'll review this to make sure that I got right. So right now, so salvage cost is basically what they get back from what they sell. Now, actually, when you do revenue, you probably need to do I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get off track here. First part, we want you to determine how many that the distributor is going to make. So they're only going to make what they can possibly sell. So when we calculate this, we look at 1840. So when you determine possible profit, this is something that I did not show in this sheet, but we basically take the number for 1840, and we're basically going to assume that they only sell 1,840 units. So here, what you need to do, and it's something that I did not do in the spreadsheet before. So after 1,800, you're going to have to do, or have times equals C11. Just put in 1,840. I did this so you would see how the spreadsheet works. So 1,840, and you drag this down. Because we're going to assume that the distributor is only going to be able to sell 1,840 units. So now, as you notice, the revenue is based on 1,840 units, but the cost is based upon them ordering all of this here. Then we add back in the salvage cost. The salvage cost is what they recuperate from ordering too much stuff. Okay. So the profit here, and this is correct now, I will upload the spreadsheet to the class, just so you know. And actually, if you wanted to, you could change the number 1,840 with this number, make an if then else statement out of it. For sake of time, I may do that, but I don't know if I'll be able to get this uploaded in time for you guys to use by tomorrow. So feel free to put this in as 1,840. This will be recorded, and I'm going to try to upload it by the time you guys wake up tomorrow. I'm going to try. So just feel free to do that. So the key thing to remember is the revenue is based upon how much the distributor orders. Now, in a minute, we're going to go and look at when we do the make to stock, we're going to do the same thing on the manufacturer side. But for now, we're going to deal with the distributor. So now we have this here. We have the cost, which is based upon how many is purchased. Okay, then we add the salvage cost back in. Okay, this is important. And so this is the profit. So in some scenarios, it is possible, or you may order more if the salvage cost is high enough, or if the incentive is high enough that the profit goes up, say 100 units. Let's say if this is, let's say for instance, if this was 18,600, the distributor would say, well, even though my weighted value is 1840, my profit level is actually at 1900. So they would order 1900 because they know that their profit would still be higher. Right now, that is not the case. So that's what the incentives are for. Okay, so go on to the manufacturer. This is very straightforward. The manufacturer is basically going to build what is ordered. So we basically say, okay, once again, we have the weighted distribution. We don't really use this for the manufacturer. So so don't worry about this column isn't useful in this here. I just keep it here because I just cut and paste it from this end. So for revenue for the manufacturer, it's the same as before, 1,500 times the cost to the distributor, which is the manufacturer's selling price. So 1,500, let's just click into here real quick. 1,500 times 40 gives us 60,000. You run it all the way down, and that's what you got. And then cost is 1,500. I'll click in here again so you can see the cells. Let's see if I can get it all in there. Okay, so yeah, we can. So it's 1,500 times the cost of the manufacturer. Okay, and profit is basically revenue minus cost. Okay, once again, the only difference between the distributor and the manufacturer in this is that the distributor has salvage costs that they regain from any unsold products. Okay, and also because of the way that the make to order is, the distributor is only going to order up to the weighted amount. So that's the only difference is the salvage costs and the fact that the costs, that the revenue is fixed based upon the weighted value that we order. Does everybody understand why we fixed this at 1,900? All right, I'm sorry, 1840. I will go over it again. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Karita said yes. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm just going to clarify just for recording's sake, because we base the revenue based upon most likely amounts sold. After that, we're going to say, well, you know, after an 1840, we can't guarantee that we're going to sell them, so we're going to use most likely case, which is 1840. Okay. So then, based on this example, what are the profits? Well, the profits basically, the distributor is one that starts us off, because in the first line, the distributor orders before it receives a demand from the end customer. That's very important. So the distributor is only going to order 1,840 based upon, well, here it says 1,800. If you were to say 1,800 in your answer, I'd probably take it, because you would at least show me that, you know, the answer would actually be 1,840. Or you could say, you know, 1,900. You can say 1,840 if you wanted to. At 1,900, there's a 600 loss. So if you said 1,900, I may take it. 1,800, okay. You know, as long as you could like state it in your verbiage how you got to this answer here, I'll be happy. Okay. In some cases, some of your classmates just put the spreadsheet and say, this is the answer, and it's like, well, you didn't go through any detail, so I don't know if you understand the material. But if you say 1,800, so yeah, I got 1,800 because the weighted value is this, whatever, great. I will accept that. I'm pretty lenient on the answers as long as I can understand that how you got to the answer. Okay. Then of course, the profit level, you basically would take the distributor order level, and you go to the same category. If you use 1800, you would just say this is the manufacturer's profit. If you use 1900, which here would be in a way wrong, but right upon the fact that you have to go to certain lot sizes, yeah, I would understand if you went 1900. It's fine. Just go to the same category, same row, and use the profit for there. And that's 9B1 in a nutshell. Okay. Very, I'm not going to say it's very simple because the assumptions in the math are a little bit complex, but basically that's all you have to do. Feel free to use the spreadsheet that I provided. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to, I'll save what I've done here and I'll email it. I'll post it after the class as a secondary spreadsheet. As a matter of fact, let me just real quick save as. Yeah, here's fine. This is in my Dropbox, so please bear with me. I'm just going to put Rep C so that I know that I have it for you guys later. Okay, thank you. So now, 9B2. Now we need to find an incentive to get them to buy more stuff. So now, I used a buyback of $20. So now, what is the expected profit for the manufacturer and the distributor? Just remember that you can do anything you want with this problem. You either do a buyback, in which case you just add another column that has buyback, or you can even do revenue sharing, where you basically say the manufacturer, like let's say for instance we decide that we just want to do the cost of the distributors. We're going to, as a manufacturer, sell it for 30. So that the distributor's profit goes up. You can do that too. Okay, revenue sharing. In many cases, revenue sharing basically is you're basically going to sell it for a certain amount. That's different. Okay, if you do revenue sharing, all you got to do, you can actually go back to 9B1 and just go cost of distributors 30, and you see how these all change. Now the cost to the manufacturer won't change because the manufacturer, that's what he pays its suppliers. Okay, selling price $50 won't change. Salvage costs won't change either. So you can change, the manufacturer can change the price to the distributor to try to see a price point in which we can get the distributor to buy more product. Okay. In this case, what you'll notice, just so you know, is that the let's go 20. Okay, as you notice, the break-even point at this point is now actually they make more money at 1900 now, so you can go 25. Just play with the numbers, see what it does. Like in this case, 1900 they make $100 more profit, so they'll order 100 more. Okay, so I'm gonna put this back to what it was. Cost of distributors 40. So that's an example of a revenue sharing. Is that buyback price just a random dollar amount? Okay, Karita, sorry, I just thought, no, buyback, you basically say, okay, it's not, it is a random dollar amount. It's a dollar amount that you decide upon. So let's say you're the manufacturer. You say, hey, I'm going to buy back your stuff for $20, $25, $30, $35, $40. When you calculate buyback, just remember the buyback has to be higher than the salvage price, salvage cost or salvage price, whatever you want to call it. Because if it's lower than the salvage price, the distributor will just say, well, I'll just salvage what I have. There's no reason for me to have you buy it back if it's lower than the salvage cost. So just remember that you have to make something that your buyback has to be higher than your salvage costs. So in this case, and I think I probably screwed this one too. So actually, no, I didn't. I actually did this one correctly. So for the buyback, all I did is basically, these 4 columns are exactly the same as the other side. Now, I'm going to put in, for here, I'm going to put in 1840 like I did before. Once again, feel free to make an F then L statement. I'll try to make an F then L statement during the week. Maybe I've got some time on Sunday. I'll see if I can do it Sunday, and then so you guys can have it. If you guys submit your assignments by then, at least you'll have it for the future. In the last recording, I was talking to Jeff. When in the real world, when I do these kinds of things, I create my own spreadsheets. Not because I like put myself through a lot of torture, but because I find that I understand the problem better. I understand what I'm doing better when I create my own spreadsheets. Of course, this requires a pretty decent level of knowledge of Excel, like the if then else statements, the if then statements. Well, yeah, if then else. But that's just my own personal life. When I, like for instance, when I do project management, I do my own Gantt charts, my own diagrams and stuff. It takes a lot of work, but I find that I understand the system that I'm working in much better when I do that. So here we go. So if you look at the buyback here, I haven't found a point where I've encouraged the distributor to sell more stuff. So we can do buyback. Well, here it's only $5. Actually, this may be an error. So I use E15. So if I'm looking here, I use actually C20 as my buyback value. So just equals this box here. Okay, so $5. So here you can manipulate the buyback value as much as you want. Once again, the salvage cost, it's got to be higher than salvage costs. So we're going to go 15. You can see what the values do. Okay, we're still not there. Let's go 20. Okay, we're getting closer. Okay, we just go 30. Some of the students, I've seen it in their assignments, we're using a thing called a critical ratio. Critical ratio, this is outside the scope of this, but just if you see this, understand a critical ratio is a ratio between what the distributor sells and what the manufacturer sells that helps you understand where the break-even point is so you can calculate these numbers quicker. I don't find much value in those because in the real world, you don't really know what the other party is selling stuff. Once again, you have to assume that everyone has imperfect information. So you really don't know what the distributor is making as far as profit. So you basically guesstimate. So if you use a critical ratio, fine. Once again, explain why you're using it and how you're using it. That's fine. Don't just add it in there and expect me to understand what you're doing. But I'm not gonna talk about critical ratio anymore. I just noticed a handful of students were using critical ratio probably from a reference that they found. So we go. So if I use a buyback of 40, which basically says that in this instance, the manufacturer basically says, I will reimburse you for anything that you don't sell. So in this example, the buyback basically has to be to a point that you basically buy back at the full price what the distributor does not sell, which is fine. Okay. And then basically it's this is similar to the salvage cost. Okay, so instead now of the distributor getting the salvage cost of $10, they're going to get the buyback cost of whatever we do. In theory, you could use 9B1 spreadsheet. Let me get out of this, and use salvage cost for buyback cost. You can do that too. In this case, I guess you'd go 39. I don't know if it's still more. Yeah, so 39, you can You know, you can play with it, but let's say 40. So we say with a buyback of $40 per unit, we've bumped the profit up that they'll be willing to buy 1,900 units. Now, in this scenario, they may buy 2,200 because what you've done is you shifted all the risk to the manufacturer. So just realize that when you create a buyback, these incentives, what they do, they shift the risk from the distributor who has all the risk to the manufacturer. But there's a point like right here, all the risk is shifted to the manufacturer above the expected amounts. Okay. Now, in theory, actually, the manufacturer in this example takes on all the risk. In some cases, you may want to do this. Maybe if you have a brand new product and say, hey, look, distributor, we're gonna give you 2,100 units. Whoops, I just noticed here that sorry, let's put this over here. Did I do the same over here? No, okay, sorry. I'm still finding things I may have cut and pasted wrong. So, so basically, let's say you're rolling out a brand new product that may have a lot of risk because it's an unknown quantity. Maybe it's a new product that does a new thing in a new market. Maybe Apple comes out with the, I don't know, the waffle maker, whatever. Well, there's not much understanding of how well it's going to do in the market. So the manufacturer says, hey, tell you what, we're going to give you 2,000 units. We're going to buy back what you don't sell. The distributor says, like, okay, fine. Give me all 2,000. I've got no risk. Sure, no problem. And at the end of the day, he sells back what he doesn't sell. So now the manufacturer takes on all the risk in this case, obviously. But this is a way for, in a make-to-order, that the manufacturer can increase what the distributor is willing to take on as risk. Are there any questions on 9B 1 and 2? I always fear that I run through this too fast, but I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm doing before I go on to 9C. Karita, are you okay with this? Awesome, Rod. Okay. Oh, Rodney. I keep forgetting when we'd like to go, but I think of Rodney. So wonderful. Okay. Once again, I'm going to upload this after this class to the general discussions thread that I had earlier. So makes sense. Wonderful. I'm glad. So now 9C. Now we're going to flip everything on its ear, and I'm going to read it from the book here. So now the manufacturers make to stock. The timing of the events is as follows. Manufacturer produces a certain amount. Distributor observes a demand. Distributor orders from the manufacturer. So this is important because now the manufacturer is going to basically make a certain amount of products up to the expected demand. Now, I was talking about this in one of my, I think I posted this in one of my, either one of my recordings or in one of my announcements. In the real world, the distributor and the manufacturer have different demand forecasts because they each feel the demand differently. This is an important concept. Within the case of this class, we assume that they both feel the demand the same. And in a VMI, where, like, for instance, everyone shares the same demand data, this is the case. But in a case where, you know, the manufacturer waits for the distributor to order, and the distributor waits for what they get from the retail store, and the retail store waits for what they sell from the consumer, because of the lags in the time and things like bullwhip effect, the demand forecasts between all those entities can be considerably different. That's why, like we said in the class, you know, sharing the demand data is a big help. Okay. Although, as I also stated, in bullwhip effect, a better improvement is if you reduce the lead time for that demand forecasting, so that there's less bullwhip effect and people waiting longer for the demand to come down. So that's just a quick side note. Now, the information I think is the same. So using the same wholesale price contract as Part B1, calculate the production inventory level of the manufacturer. So all this information is the same right here. As a result, the amount to make is going to be the same. Okay, so it's 1840. Now, but this time, what we're going to do is we look at, the manufacturer is only going to build what is they expect the distributor to purchase. And in this case, they only expect the distributor to purchase up to the demand that they will be seeing from the retailer, which is 1840. So now we look at the manufacturer to see where their profit level are. In this case, I did it again. Okay, we need to add the salvage cost. So I'm going to go through this. Let me add this real quick, and I will go through the cell again just to make sure that everybody understands where my thinking is. So once again, revenue. Okay, weighted value is this column times this column. Okay, the amount times probability gives you the weight. Okay, and then we have I can always just this should be the same. Actually, this is probably a good idea to do so that you can sanity check your spreadsheet. I like to put in they're poke yolks in Japanese terms and from quantity, but idiot proofing, so I could double check all my stuff. But obviously I didn't do it here. But so here, this tells me here that these are all correct because both these numbers match. So revenue is, so if we click on here, revenue is cost through the, oh, did I mess that up again? Looks like I may have. Cost the, oh, revenue, yeah, cost of the distributor. I did not, sorry. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here, so I apologize. So cost of the distributor, which is the profit from the manufacturer, times the amount here. And if you go all the way down, once again, what we'll do is we'll do 1840. Once again, I'd prefer to use an if-then-else statement, because if this were to change, like let's say if you use a spreadsheet for something else and you change all these numbers, 1840 would not be the right answer. So honestly, you just make an if this is higher than this, then revenue would be this times this category here. Else, it would be this category minus the manufacturer. I'm sorry, let me back up. If this is, yeah, if this is greater, oh, I'm sorry. If this number is greater than this column, then your revenue would be this times your cost to the distributor. If it isn't, then you would basically go your weighted average minus this number. You would calculate the revenue from that, and then you would add your salvage cost. Okay, this is going to be assuming that you, what that does, this says, hey, look, our revenue is going to be based upon the expected demand. Okay. So the revenue is 1840 because that's all we're going to be able to sell. We're only going to be able to sell what the distributor pulls. And we're looking at best case scenario for this. So after 1800, we go 1840 all the way down. So it'll be 1840 times cost of the distributor, and that gives you your revenue. And then these columns are the same. For salvage cost, I have this F to L statement. I might be able to cut and paste this F to L statement over here. I'll have to look at the equation. I'll see if I can. I've got some time on Sunday tomorrow to do something. Maybe if I can get a cleaned up spreadsheet to you guys, I will do that with right F to L statements, even for your posterity. But for now, just put the 1840 here. So now, at any numbers after 1840, we're going to have to salvage. So the manufacturer is basically, so we add the salvage cost back in, because that's like, and getting our money back for what we sunk into products that we don't sell. So so total profit is basically revenue minus cost. So what's profit? So this is profit before we add the salvage cost. So total profit is profit plus salvage cost. Okay. So the profit level that we're gonna have is basically the manufacturer. At this point, the manufacturer will build 1900 because they still make $200 more, making a little bit extra, even if they have to salvage it. Okay, so the manufacturer will make 1900 units. We're going to assume that the distributor is only going to order 1840. So for your answer, you can use either 1800 or 1900, whatever you want to do. But just remember that the distributor can only sell what the manufacturer builds. So let's say for some reason your calculation says that the distributor, like for instance here, the profit's actually higher the higher you go up. But the manufacturer is going to limit the amount of money that the distributor makes, because the distributor basically is going to only sell what's available. And we don't deal with 1840 here because the distributor doesn't pre-order. The distributor doesn't have to order stuff before it's sold. In this assumption, we assume that the distributor sells what he or she orders. That's an important distinction in this. In the real world, this is not true, but in some industries, it might be. Like, for instance, I work in defense. This is true. We have a the government says, hey, we want 500 widgets. So we build 500 widgets, we sell 500 widgets. We don't go, okay, we may build 600 because the government tells us ahead of time what they want, then we only build what is ordered. But in other instances, because we have lag in demand, they may order a little bit more. There may be a little bit of, you have like safety stock and lead time issues where they may sell more in the real world. But in this assumption, the distributor is only going to order what the customer orders from them. Very important to remember. So whatever you determine for here, okay, well, actually, it doesn't really matter what happens here, because the distributor, we're going to go whatever the manufacturer makes, the distributor will only be able to sell up to what the manufacturer sells them. So 1840, if you use one of these two numbers here, that's fine, as long as you can talk to the fact that the distributor is only going to be able to sell what the manufacturer builds. And the distributor, because in the example, the distributor is only going to order from the manufacturer once the demand is observed. Basically means at the time of the demand. So they're only going to pull 1840 in this example. So if you did a calculation of 1840 times the cost for revenue, if you did 1840 times selling price for revenue, and if you did 1840 times cost of the distributor as a cost and revenue minus cost is profit, that's fine. If you did 1900, I would accept that. If you did 1800, I'd accept that too. As long as you verbalize it so I understand what you're thinking, I'm perfectly happy with that. Okay. The only difference between 9C1 and 9B1 is the manufacturer takes on the risk. So in this example, the salvage costs are on this side. And also the distributor is only going to order the weighted value. Any questions? Okay. So I've got buyback here, but we don't use it, so we just delete that here. Okay. Okay, now in 9C2, find a cost-sharing contract that both the manufacturer and distributor enjoy a higher expected profit than that in C1. It's going to be the exact same as in the other one, except for now the manufacturer is going to try to find a way to get the distributor to order more. Okay, so now let me see. In this case, I'm just trying to make sure that I understand what I was trying to do in this. Is F then. I want to make sure that this is F. Give me a quick second. I just want to make sure I get that these are correct. It doesn't look okay. I didn't. Let me do buyback here. Yeah, let me cut and paste these real quick. I think this should work. Okay. Okay, so we'll go this here. Sorry, equals a cell here. Give me a quick second. If this doesn't work, I'll just move over to the other. I'll just move back to the way it was. I'm just trying to make sure that I got everything correct. What's this one supposed to be? Oh, buyback amounts. So we'll just use this. N20 should be D $. Give me a quick, C $. C $22. Well, okay, I still messed up. Okay, I'm just gonna put it back the way it was. I'm just gonna talk to this. I also didn't do 9C correctly. Well, these are correct. That's weird. I wonder why these are correct. These are okay. Well, it doesn't matter. So now, the manufacturer is going to try to get the distributor to order. Actually, this time the distributor. Sorry, the distributor is going to try to get the manufacturer to buy more stuff, to build more stuff. Okay, so the distributor is going to try to find a cost-sharing strategy in which they shift the risk over. They shift some of the manufacturer's risk over to the distributor. So in this case, we're going to use a buyback. Okay, so buyback. So in this case, the distributor, for any goods over 1800, I'm just going to go, okay, this is correct here. So I'm just going to use these values here. So in a buyback of 20, the distributor is saying, hey, tell you what, we're going to, for every unit that you build that you do not sell, for every unit that you build that we do not purchase to sell to a customer, we will go ahead and buy back from you for so much money. We're going to help you recoup your costs. So I'm going to do this. What I can do is this will do equal, because buyback is going to be the same. Okay, I believe the rest should be fine. So I should have done this in the first place. So in the buyback, the difference between the first one and the last one is that the distributor is going to, this is going to be minus for the profit. The distributor's profit is going to be minus this category here. So I'm going to clean. I didn't catch this earlier. I apologize, everybody. So the distributor's profit is going to decrease because it's basically going to buy stuff back from the manufacturer. Okay. Now, the manufacturer, we're going to add this cost in. So in this one's correct here. So we're basically, let's see. There's a problem with this calculation here for some reason. Let's see why. P12. Whoops, daisy. No, there we go. That's why. So once again here, we're going to go 1840. We'll go 1840 here. Because once again, the manufacturer is only going to build what the expected demand is. So we'll go here, 1840. Whoops. Oh, sorry guys, I'm changing this in real time. If you have any questions, please feel free to chime in on the chat. So I'll go 1840 here. 1840. And here, 1840. So the expected revenue is still, the manufacturer is still going to say, well, I'm still only going to expect to sell 1840. This is best case. So, okay, the cost keeps going up because I'm building more stuff. So the profit obviously is going to go down after the 1840 breakpoint. Okay, because they're going to start to absorb the $20 cost themselves. So now we add the buyback profit in as a means to try to have them make more stuff. Okay, we want to try to find a point in which we can get them to build more. So at this point, you don't see it because 1840 is in between 1800 and 1900, but at 1840, their profit maxes out at $20 buyback because the buyback is exactly the same as the cost to the manufacturer. So once again, the buybacks, well, in this example, the buyback has to be higher than the cost to the manufacturer. Well, I guess it doesn't really have to. Basically, what you're saying is we will basically pay you what you make for your product after 1840. Now, in this case, the manufacturer may still only build 1900. They could build 2000. They could build 2100. Depends. You know, if they have no risk, why not build a few more? You know, it doesn't really matter because the distributor, once again, only purchases from the demand. So if the demand turns out to be 2100, the manufacturer would still, you know, they would still make the same amount of money as when 2100 buys 1900. In a real world, you would try to build as little as possible because you have capacity issues, especially if the manufacturer has multiple product lines. They may wish to limit production in certain lines so they can have more capacity for other lines. So in this scenario, they may still only build 1900, even though the distributor, so the distributor, in order to encourage the manufacturer to build more, the buyback has to be higher than the manufacturer cost. And we can see this in the spreadsheet here. Okay. Once again, I'm gonna upload this so you can play with this. Just remember that I have these hard fixed in here. So you're gonna have to change that. I'll place a comment in here. to remind you. So let's go buyback of 25. Now we're going to basically give the manufacturer more than their cost. As you can see now, they have no risk. They have no risk. So yeah, of course, if you're gonna, now obviously they may still only, so let's say if they build 21 and the distributor still only buys 1840, they still make money. They make more money. So yeah, they in this instance, they'll build 2200. Why not? They're gonna. So in these columns, remember that each entity maximizes their profit regardless of what the other party does. That's important. Okay. And in the book here, they talk about you add the profits, you get the total profit for the supply chain. In a VMI, sometimes that works, but in the real world, Walmart, from what I understand, doesn't stay awake at night trying to understand how much money their distributors or their manufacturers make. Okay, they do to a point, obviously, because they want to still encourage people to make stuff for them, but they don't try to maximize profit for everybody. Because once again, we deal with imperfect information, so they don't have this information, but they make predictions. These are all predictions to determine what the best point is. So in this scenario, the manufacturer will build 2200. Because the distributor may say, hey, look, we will. If you build 2,200 units, we will purchase any units that you do not sell. When the buyback is higher than the cost to the manufacturer, yeah, they'll do it. They'll build 3,000 because all the risk is now shifted to the distributor. So obviously the buyback, if you can say, okay, we want you to build 2,000, but we want you, but we'll only reimburse you $23 or $21 for what you or $19, whatever. You can play with these numbers to see what a good break-even point is. And then when you do that, just talk to your answer. Now, does this make sense, everybody? This is a little bit different than the first one because the manufacturer will only build what the distributor orders, and the distributor will only order what they feel as demand. Okay, does this make sense? The risk is on the distributor. Yes, completely. Well, in this case, the risk is on the manufacturer because the distributor has no risk at all. Okay, let me clarify this real quick, Rodney. The risk is on the manufacturer because the distributor is only going to buy from the manufacturer what the demand is. So if the demand is 900, they're only going to buy 900. In this type of contract, the distributor says, hey, we will only purchase from the manufacturer what we sell. So the manufacturer has all the risk. If the manufacturer only, in this scenario, if the manufacturer only builds 1,700, the manufacturer has a good chance of selling everything that they do. They've basically taken a no-risk stance to the distributor's position. Now, the distributor will lose a lot of potential profit if this happens because they plan on selling 1840. But so in this scenario, the manufacturer has to estimate how much or predict how much the distributor is going to buy from them, because the manufacturer has to build before the demand takes place. So in this case, they're only going to build 1840 because that's the most likely amount that they're going to sell. Oh, I think I see why it didn't work earlier. Whoops. I had that the wrong. I had that in the wrong area, that's why. Equals. So now I bet that calculation would have worked. I had that in the wrong area. So the distributor is trying to say, okay, we will still only purchase from you what we observe in demand. But if you build up to 2,100 units, up to 2,200 units, whatever you decide, we will buy back what we do not sell to the customer. Okay, so the manufacturer, in this scenario, the manufacturer pre-builds 2,100 as per this new contract. The distributor only builds 1,840. At the end of the period, the manufacturer says, hey, we have 2,100 minus 1,840 left in stock that you did not pull from us to sell to customers. So you owe us buyback cost for this many. And this is where this comes in. Okay, the manufacturer. So the distributor, because it's minus, the distributor pays 6,500 to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer shows this as a profit. Does this make sense, Rodney? Hopefully I didn't put you guys to sleep. I do that to some people. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, Rod. Yes, Rodney just said, speaking in terms of buyback by distributor. Correct, yes. You're basically shifting risk from the manufacturer to the distributor. You're absolutely right, Rodney. Sorry, I misunderstood you. All right, so now I'm not going to go through 10 unless you guys really need me to, but basically only that changes is you're going to take these numbers here and you're going to basically put the inflated values that they show here in the book and talk to them. Say, okay, when you put these new values in, you know what, let's do something real quick. Let's just do 2,500. I'm just going to go equals, boom, plus 100. Let me make this quick. So let's say we just inflate. I'm just going to go, I'll make this easy on myself. Let's say we inflate everything. Now, you now have a higher weighted value. Okay? And everything else is the same. Now, don't forget, when you do this, you got to change these numbers I put in here to, now, in this example, 2,840. Okay. Now you talk to the new values and say, okay, well, you know, like for instance, find the order quantity and expected profits of the distributor and of the manufacturer. So basically say, okay, using the same logic that you did earlier, calculate the profits for 10B, 1 and 10B based upon 9B1, and then 10C is the same as 10C1, if I remember right. Yep. Oh, actually no. Oh, I'm sorry. 10A would be the same as 9B1. 10B would be the same as 9C1. And then C, you just basically taught the answer. What's better, an inflated forecast or a true forecast? And I'm going to give you a little bit of a teaser on this. Don't forget that when, in certain scenarios, the demand forecast can be inflated by inflated demands. Like, let's say if the manufacturer is taking the inflated demand from the the distributor, and it's trying to calculate its amount to make based upon the demand over time, that the demand forecasts that the distributor provides over time, it may create an inflated and highly variable demand forecast. Now, obviously, if the demand is real, that will be different. But if the distributor, let's say if the distributor, and this is something that's mentioned briefly in the book, let's say if the distributor orders 200 extra units per month in anticipation of a big sale, and the manufacturer does not know that this is the reason that these extra units are for, you create an artificial inflation of the demand forecast, in which all of a sudden, based upon the bullwhip effect, the manufacturer down the line is going to start building more products than they should. So just think about those kinds of things when you look at what is best. Now, the distributor, does that distributor care about the manufacturer having an inflated demand forecast? No, they may not. It just depends. In a full competitive win-lose relationship, they probably don't, because they just care about their profit. But if you want, in a long-term relationship, you may want to be more forthright with the manufacturer, obviously. So just keep these in mind as you do your answers. I'm gonna put these back to 1500. So I'm gonna send this back to you guys. Are there any questions before I close this out? Wonderful. Good. Okay. How about you, Karita? Wonderful. I'm glad to hear. The problems can be very confusing when you first start these, because the wording and sometimes they're hard to break down. But hopefully with this, you understand the problem more. My intent with this assignment is not so much you guys get the right answers. If you guys get the wrong answers, I'm fairly lenient, as long as you say, hey, I did everything correctly the way I'm supposed to, but I got the wrong answers. I might say, hey, look at your spreadsheet and do this X, Y, and Z, but I'll still give you credit as long as you can tell me how you got to the answers. I'm pretty lenient as far as that's concerned. My core intent is that you guys understand what's going on behind the scenes in all these problems. So, all right. I've got some time later today, Saturday. Well, it's Saturday now here, but I'm going to try Saturday to get something posted. If not, you'll definitely get it on Sunday. Anytime, Rodney. I always fear, because some of these problems get very difficult, and I always try to reach out to students. So thank you guys for, especially thanks to Karita for reminding me about how difficult this problem is for the first time, and saying, hey, I could use some help. So I greatly appreciate you reaching out to me, Karita, and gave me the chance to do this again for everybody. So, okay, guys, I'm gonna go back to sleep, and I will see you guys in class. One quick caveat, real quick. If you guys have some questions about your group projects, please send me some emails and stuff. I've seen a lot of good work on some of them. Some of the other ones are a little bit behind. If there's anything I can do to help clarify your path forward until week 9, please let me know. Guys, I know there's a lot of workload coming up, and I want to do everything I can to help you be more efficient towards getting towards the end of the class without pulling your hair out. So if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. Okay? Okay. All right, I'm going to sign off, everybody. Thanks very much for your time, and once again, sorry that I was late. So take care, and hopefully you'll see something by tomorrow. Go Patriots! I'm a Vikings fan, so I'm going to I won't lie and say that I hope the Patriots lose, but I do appreciate the Patriots and what they've done. So you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys in class. Take care.